Well, it's Yorkshire Day, at least for part of the videoing of this look at what I'm doing with my old Hogwarts Express.
This will probably not be up anywhere near Yorkshire Day, but happy Yorkshire Day all the same. What you will have seen from a previous video is that I now am the proud owner of two Hogwarts Expresses. One is the original Lionel version, which I had imported from the States about 5 or 6 years ago, and the other one I got just recently, which is the new Hornby version. And so let's have a quick look at those. That's the new Hornby version, 50mm gauge with its own plastic track. Won't run on my garden railway without re-gauging. And this is the older Lionel version. Now, to separate the main body from the engine block and wheels, there are just 4 screws to undo, 2 at the front and 2 at the back. Lots of screws to see underneath, but only 2 right at the very back, 2 right at the very front there, and that lifts the whole engine block, etc. right off. Let's talk through what I think I can see here. This is the power input. This is your battery input speaker. I think that thing down there is just the push button to start it. That looks, because it's got a coil on it, a receiver coil, as though that's the beginning part of the receiver. And this is the main control board, and that's it. There's a multi-way ribbon cable between that receiver and the control board. And then what you've got is a couple of pairs of wires coming out and disappearing into the motor block. There's a red and black wire going to the front LED there. So 2 lots of wires going into the motor block. We'll have a look at what those 2 are. One of these, you can't see the scale of it. It's a tiny little motor worm drive to the rear wheels, and then the coupling rods are used to couple it through. Your traction tyres are on those rear wheels. So it's a relatively tiny motor, and not like the Meteor Bueller motors that you get in LGB kit. But that's it, you know, that's what you get with it. And I'm intrigued to see what, that's blue and green, which looks like it goes to the motor. I'm intrigued to see what those other 2 wires are. Right, I think I've worked it out. So there's the motor wires to the motor. Down there, in between these 2 wheels here, there is something. Who knows what it is? I think it's either a reed relay or Hall effect sensor, and that is used to get your chuff synchronization for the sound. So the blue wires there are coming back from your chuff sensor. Power to the motor, chuff sensor back, wires to the LED at the front. There's a black trailing wire here. That will be an antenna. And yeah, if that comes from one of the boards down there, we'll see what that's connected to. There's another black wire down there as well for something. Not sure how much you're interested in these things. The black wire comes off that board, which I suggested first of all was part of the receiver circuit. Up is tucked behind here and then trails down the loco body. So the receiver wire is trapped behind this block, which is holding the speaker in place. I'm guessing that was by design. Don't know why they would do that, but that seems to be it. Anyway, I don't see any need or reason to remove the electronics, because what I am going to do with this one is change its livery, change its colour, and leave that one in the original colour, which is actually less attractive. This, maybe it's just because I've had it a while, It looks a little bit more matte than that. That's very much high gloss, but that does have a better definition on the transfers on the side. It's 6 of one, half dozen of another, but that's just how I've decided to go with it, for no very strong reason. So only 4 screws needed to separate the body of the loco from the underbit. By contrast, you need to take 8 screws out to separate the lower part of the tender from the upper part. Anyway, that's done. The 8 screws are out now, and it comes away quite nicely. And I think that leaves it in a condition whereby, by removing the accessories, we should be able to change the colour of that without too much need for masking. Blue-green wire to the top of the board this way, blue wire to the bottom of the board, because I'm going to detach the bottom part of the locomotive from the top. Right then, so that one has been re-gauged. If I get my shadow off it, you'll be able to see the shiny plastic nature of that. You know what it's like. Alright, don't know why it turned off. I must have touched something. That one's been re-gauged. This one is the older one, I'm thinking. Yeah, this is the original Lionel one. I've repainted this. There you go. That's it, in this green livery. Happens to be a green I had in stock. It's just dark green matte. If I can do a close-up. Not a close-up, but I've left the name board on it. It's still Hogwarts until I manage to print something out which will change that. But the interesting thing is, I now feel as though I can see a bit more of the rivet detail. I've not put the handrail back because I'm thinking the original plastic handrail is a little bit heavy, and if I put a thinner handrail on, it might improve the appearance of it a little bit. I've painted the buffer beam at the back red. That's still wet and tacky. The inside has been sprayed black. I'm going to turn it round to show this one. So there we are, in the sun for this bit. I've not changed that number this side. The number's been oversprayed. I've got a touch of black to put on there. And so I can put a different number on the other side. And I'm looking at 3D printing a name to go on it, so it will become a named loco. And the gold paint hasn't taken on top of my green paint there. I need to touch that up. So there's a couple of things to do. Hold on while I turn it round in the sun. Well, this is it turned around. It's difficult to keep my shadow out of the way of the camera. But as I say, I feel now that I can see a little bit more of the rivet detail in this loco, which I'm very pleased with. So there, as I said, the buffer beam I've picked out in red. Not a difficult thing to do. Just basically resprayed the body of the tender. You've seen the shadow of my camera on it, but it just happens to be where I am in relation to the sun. Don't know how I can avoid that. There we are. Nice rivet detail on the camera. I didn't spray it heavily inside, but blackened it, and I've had a touch of red paint, touch of gold paint, just to pick out the back head detail in there. You're seeing the side with the number on just down there. And if I come back a bit, there you go. You get the general impression of this loco now. And not a bad little loco that will run around my G-scale track. So as I say, that's a loco which is battery, remote control with a little bit of sound. That one I bought a little while. That's the Lionel one. Was sold as Hogwarts Express. This one was already G scale because it's the Lionel version, and all I've done is a very, very simple paint job so far. Just a little thing. I masked off up to here, so this band was masked, but here what I did was I oversprayed the lot, and then while the paint was still softish, removed the paint with my fingernail. A tedious job, but easier for me than trying to mask it off or paint banding back onto it again to try and give the impression of a bit of banding when you get far enough back. So a number to be applied here, lining to be applied on there. If you look at where the lining is on the other things, there's lining round there, around the windows, round there, round the name, and you will see some heavyweight rails on the model, heavyweight handrails. I've not replaced the whatever those things are, the handles that control presumably water feed on that one. It's rolling away from me now, and so I'm wondering about whether I can find a finer bit of handrail to put back, but there will be handrail put back, and if I can't find any finer handrail, I'll just put the original plastic rather heavyweight handrail back, which might be okay. So there we have it. That's my re-liveried Hogwarts Express. So you could say now it's a castle locomotive if it were a true outline of a castle, but it looks like a UK outline locomotive running on G-scale track, even though the scale is not the same as what you would expect from other G-scale locomotives.